Okay, folks, how you doing? How you doing? We've been away for a little while. As we just gave thanks to God, we want to also give thanks to Rose City, KB, Kel, and his staff, the complete staff, and also, moreover, we want to give a big shout out to you guys who's taking this opportunity out of your very busy and hectic day to like give us your ear. This topic is very important to myself personally and my daughter and to those who know the truth about reparations. So not to cut through all the other chase, I'm just going to get right to it. I'm going to tell you a little story before I get right to it. I'm sorry. Some senator in, I think it's Florida or Miami.
Florida, Daddy.
Okay, I just was aware of the fact that Black History Month is tomorrow. And this senator has put a petition out for white folks, Europeans, to sign because he felt or they feel that they should shun out Black history. You know, when the Jews talk about Holocaust, you don't hear anything. They talk about their Holocaust, you hear nothing, not a peep. When we speak about Black history, the transatlantic slave trade, we have to be militant, or people think that we're wrong for wanting to learn about our history. Our kids, our future generations need to know about their history and what happened and why they're placed in this condition that they're in today. So this is something I just wanted to touch real quick. The nerve, the audacity of this guy trying to put this out now and trying to get it signed by several people. So getting to the meat and potatoes, most of you know about what happened to Black folks. Okay, some of you want to call yourself African American, some want to say that you're neither. But what happened was, we was brought here, stolen, taken from our land, deprived of our culture, God, religion, names, family, against our will. We've seen a human being walking, our forefathers seen a human being walking, and he was different from what my forefathers looked like. So with open arms, they welcomed these people in, but not knowing that on these people's mind was, I'm going to teach these savages how to be Americanized. So they immediately enslaved our ancestors. The Middle Passage, I think W.E. Du Bois said it was like maybe 50 or 75 to 100 million Black lives was lost on that transatlantic slave ship which sailed to the north from Africa to the Americas. In the bottom of a ship, now picture this, just picture this. In the bottom of this ship, chained like animals, throwing up feces and stuff on themselves, urinating, defecating, and not fed at all, basically. Then brought here, whipped to the skin off of their backs. When that wasn't enough, you poured salt down their wounds to make them punished. You did so many brutal and unrighteous things to these human beings. So basically, we was trapped. We was in a foreign land, working from can't see in the morning to can't see at night for no pay. No pay now. You go to work today. you go to work, I'm laughing, but it ain't funny. You go to work today and your boss talking about being late with your paycheck, you got a problem with that. These folks didn't get paid a dime. We fought in every war. the Civil War, World War One, Two, Spanish-American War. Fought in every war, came home handicapped, disillusioned with Agent Orange and other diseases. No big hero welcome when you come home. Homeless people in the street, mostly blacks now, no job. So mainstream America didn't welcome the veterans home. That's just part of the problem that I have with this reparations. The Emancipation Proclamation was a 13th Amendment that Lincoln instituted, which allowed, after the Civil War, 40,000 black Americans to be free. Now, this was a document called Order 15, which was given by the president, carried out by Sherman, one of his generals, and that never happened. So the promise wasn't kept. You had a guy who preceded him called Andrew Young, I think his name was, the president. You can quote everything I'm saying. Andrew Young was a racist, a supremacist. I am the white man, the goose that laid the golden egg. That type of attitude syndrome, where what he did was rescinded the order, gave back the land to the slave owners and the sellout Judas Goats, traders, Uncle Tom, Sambo, black people, which I call niggers, that did not allow that order to be filled. Now that order was a promise of 40 acres. The mule was never promised. The mule was to be allotted from different farmers in that area, but the 40 acres was promised. Today, I think the equivalent of 40 acres would be 40 acres would be $640 billion for 40,000 people. So, and that's being modest, just asking for that, okay? Now, the ironic thing is, just like I just mentioned in my opening statement about this clown in Miami talking about this petition for white people not wanting to hear about black history. You're American, right? I gotta also say that about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months, you had the government debating about whether or not they should pass this bill to give Spanish folks, or Mexican, I'm sorry, because Spanish folks are just like me. Mexican people, $440,000 for them and their offspring, which Trump stopped at that border when Trump was in office. Now, this is a consideration in the House right now. It hasn't been approved, but it's still on the table. So, to add to that, even more fire to the brimstone, we all may not know, the Jews always talk Holocaust. The Jews, oh, it's so sad. You know, I sympathize with that. I'm not saying anything against them getting their reparation, but I'm saying, you're going to tell me that 75 to 100 million black lives is not worth more than one Jew life when you only had 33 million people in the Holocaust, and you all got X amount of millions of dollars from Britain, from British, from the Germans. You even got a public apology in a newspaper and a book. And blacks, we don't get nothing. Oh no, I know what you guys are saying. Oh, you ain't gonna get nothing. You know, how are they gonna come up with the who's black? No, how do you come up with an application for a job? Black, African American, Latin, Spanish, Puerto Rican, white, Caucasian, other. The same way you come up with that, and the same way you come up with these stimulus checks, give me my money that my foreparents was promised. I need that. If not for me, give it to my kids. Don't tax them. Okay, I don't want to get too far away from what I'm saying. Then the last one was, here's a race of people that's on top of the world now. First in everything, they call Japanese. Bombed Pearl Harbor in 1942, where my black foreparents was in that war, left their bodies on that shore, Iwo Jima, and France, Germany, died. I forget the X amount of soldiers that died that was black or any color. And you have the audacity, the nerve to pay these people 20,000 American dollars and rebuild their economy. Now they're bigger than the United States. The United States today, right now, is, let me see, they were in 1998 was 6 trillion. Your deficit is 11 to 12 trillion dollars right now, and it's increasing every year. And you giving these people money, but I can't get a nickel.
Okay, Daddy.
So, in the interest of time, I got more. In the interest of time, daughter, go ahead.
Okay, Daddy. Just to wrap that up before we take a quick break, and we'll have 2 callers in today. One is my brother Naeem. He just began his YouTube page, The Chosen One, and we also have a community activist. Her name is Jamie Bland, and they'll be on shortly. So we'll just take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
And Jamie Bland is community activist.
Yes, for National Action Network.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back. Thank you. Before we go, before we wrap up, we'll just kind of condense everything that Daddy said. Daddy, you brought up some good topics. First, the law. Yes. First, the one with the law that is trying to be passed from the governor, who is in Florida, who is an immigrant. Well, his family is an immigrant of the United States. Should know better. Should know better. When we come as minorities, we need to stick together, as well as any human race should have human decency to understand how Black Americans feel in America. We still aren't treated the same way as every other human race. We have different and a lot of our own personal issues within our own community, but it all stems from mental slavery. If you don't believe that, just look at what we go through. We go through PTSD. In most of our urban communities, that's what's going on. Mm-hmm. Post-traumatic stress disorder, and that comes from a long line of men and women who have been tortured, and in the raising of their children has been tampered with. Yes. If you think of it generation by generation by generation by generation by generation by generation, we're talking about hundreds of years of oppression. Then you have the aftermath of those 100 years. After people stopped, slavery was so-called abolished in 1863. Where did the slaves go? So what money did they have to start their new lives? How could they get any education? There was nothing done at all. So with that being said, they had to use their prayers of what we just did. In the Black community, we do that a lot. We pray a lot. But where's the change? If you look at things from 1960s to now, we still are dealing with the same type of issues that we had previously. The same speech that Martin Luther King gave. My father's a little more raw. He's a little more diligent about it. But it was the same thing that we was talking about in 1963 that killed Martin Luther King. Please don't kill my father. But it's the same issue that's going on. It's still the same issue going on, and that's what, 50 years ago? Yeah. So 50 years ago, we still haven't been seen in the light as humans in America. That's a problem. This is a country where everybody comes to because it's supposed to be the land of the free. Let everyone feel like it's the land of the free and the home of the brave. Daddy, with that being said, go ahead if you would like to.
What you said about all the leaders, Black leaders, anyone that stood up to try to rise the Black folks out of the dead sleep of slavery, the effect on the conditions that they were placed in. It wasn't that we brought about the condition ourselves. Any person or group that stood up against that was assassinated or humiliated, or someone was shaking in the wind niggas. Okay, but most of them was warriors and activists who really fought for change. Okay.
Very true.
Okay. So
Okay,
as
Dave,
far
we're
as
gonna
Martin
call
Luther
Jamie.
King, I'm gonna call Jamie. 1 second, Jamie. As far as Martin Luther King goes, Martin Luther King, they try to trickle down to 3 words: I have a dream. They try to trickle that man down. The same Martin Luther King in 1960, they depict J. Edgar Hoover said he was the most dangerous Negro in America. Now today, he's on everybody's wall like Malcolm, like they really loved him. They didn't love him. What Martin Luther King did was he had a powwow with Johnson, Lyndon B. Johnson, which was the president at that time, about mainstreaming America with black folks to get them out of the condition we were in. And Johnson agreed, and he came with the slogan, we shall overcome. Now, what happened was, with that money that they were supposed to give for the black stream, and put us back in a cell. If you go to court, let me just tell you a story. If you go to court and you have a case against somebody, and the judge say, well, you got to put this man or this person back in the position that you took them out of, because they got their evidence, clear evidence, facts, and I'm siding with them. I want you to pay them X amount of dollars. Okay, this is what Martin and Johnson was powwowing and having dialogue about. Johnson agreed. Next thing you know, Johnson took that money and gave it to the Vietnam War and left us hanging. 2 weeks after that, 2 weeks, don't take my word, check it out for yourself. 2 weeks after that, they assassinated Martin Luther King. You can put Jamie on now.
Okay. I'm going to call the community activist, Jamie Bland. 1 second.
Sad. It's terrible.
Hello, Jamie Bland speaking.
Hi, Jamie. This is Samia. We're calling you from Let's Chop It Up with Noonie. Jamie Bland is a community activist, and she also volunteers with National Action Network. So, Jamie, you can get started. We're talking about reparations, Jamie.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know where to begin. I'll just pretty much just tell you a little bit about me and what I do. Keeping the dream alive. Now, so as an activist, that's just one point. Part of me, I'm an executive director for the Jumpstart Community Training Service for the last 22 years, which is a program that's under prevention and awareness. As a National Action Network chapter leader here in Passaic County and Bergen County, under the leadership of Reverend Al Sharpton, we, the chapter, decided to adopt the Jumpstart Community Training and Services because Reverend Sharpton wanted us to have some interaction with youth. So I said, well, hey, I already had it. Have the youth, and so that wouldn't be a problem. So my board members are my NAN members, and so that really has been the best partnership that an organization can have. And so yes, they are activists. We do work every day as servants, keeping the dream alive. We work in the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King. Actually, I also have I work from the City of Patterson Division of Recreation, and the partnership with Jumpstart is from the year 2000. We started under rec out of the YWCA in Patterson, New Jersey, and then with the arts, using the arts to heal and drama to break barriers. We actually started in 2000, and we moved to Eastside High School under the leadership of Mr. Lagathal and Ms. Taylor at the time. They were looking for arts programs. We came in and we were doing skits and plays throughout of the 54 schools on bullying,
Hey,
violence.
Jamie, excuse me. Can I ask you a question? Can we just interject and jump in there a little bit, and then you can continue? I just want to thank you again for giving Nooney's Gang, which is my nonprofit, some light on the Legend Award that you gave us at the Fiesta in East Rutherford. I just want to thank you for that. But I also want to say to you that me and my daughter mentioned you on the way here to the studio because of how you take kids off the street with no asking for no money and just take them to the amusement parks like Great Adventures and etc. And also, I think I seen Tretch Naughty by Nature with you a couple of times. I think you had something to do with that group or something, but I just wanted to say that.
Just going up to that, since we were, and thank you.
You are.
But yes, the program, the Jumpstart Community Training Program, as I said, is under prevention and awareness, and it's an anti-violence program.
Yeah.
So a part of that is when you take kids off the street, you have to have something that interests these kids. You can't talk to them, beat them down. You got to understand.
Right.
And because I give back, I was one of these kids that didn't have to be on the street, but I was out. And I was out here at 12. I remember myself selling loose joints at school. That was just because I was my brother.
Hey, that was called reefer back then. That was called reefer.
It's a different type of smoke now out.
Yeah, and this is in the 70s, okay? I don't want to tell the early 70s. So when I tell them what I'm talking about, I lived
Go ahead.
93, I moved to LA and I lived in a snake pit. So all that I already see, I was praying in 93 when I came back from LA for this not to happen here. So it wasn't like I wasn't already a part of what was happening out in LA.
Right.
It was a runaway to get back here to save my own life. So, and everything in a nutshell is like God spared me a number of times. I know that I'm one of God's favorites.
He's so good, ain't he? God, God is God. Oh my God.
Oh man, let me tell you, recognize and you look back and you can,
where you could be now, where he brought you from. Where he brought you from.
That's all I can say. Because most of my friends, and I'm over 50, so a lot of them is death or in jail. So, and it's still the same thing, but it's just gotten a little bit worse because they lost respect for the game. Now, that's the street game. But as far as them recognizing their elders, and elders really got to tell their stories a little bit more, because some of these people think that they, some of these kids think that they the genius and everybody else is a SHIT head. They the only genius. And people need to share stories with them.
Jamie, let me just say this. The reason why I asked you, could I jump right in there, because my daughter and I did a podcast ran by Rose City, and it's on our YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, John Benjamin, hosted by daughter Samia, or Noonie Chop It Up. And the topic was respect. And what I find with the young folks is, number one, there's no platforms out here to tell them anything. There's no platforms to tell them anything. And you got the guy around the corner wearing Jordans and Nikes and living that lavish TV life with the rich and the famous. And that McDonald's job is not going to make him identify with his peers. So what does he do? He takes the crack. He sells the crack. Under 16, he slings the dope. So we need platforms to educate. The condition that we was put in is not their fault. I'm not giving them a pass. I'm not saying they should be black on black shooting each other in the streets, but guess what? How can you stop the war when you didn't start the war? Where did the war start? Who started the gun violence? Who started that? So we got to let them know where that came from and how to address it then. And the only way we can do that, we have to have platforms. The churches, our time is a little limited. You can finish up because I can go into detail.
Yeah, Jamie, if you could just wrap it up and tell us, why do you think we should receive reparations?
Well, I mean, everything that we have been through, from slavery to having to be on the gun line, and with the gun line, that's just, the jails. You understand what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
most of that are, the wardens and those guys back in slavery that were watching the slave camps, they're watching the black people in jails and treating them like niggas.
Mm-hmm.
And so since everybody is on crack or dope, now you got white niggas, you got Spanish niggas, so now everybody just a nigga. So it's nobody getting nowhere fast.
So don't be hung up on that word. No.
Yes.
She's right. You're right, babe.
I just keep it real because I don't owe anybody anything, and I don't need to just keep just saying, sugarcoating, because you need to understand that there's a such thing as being a black man and a black woman.
Yes.
I'm a baby. So I understand being the first step to be a man, and understand this. Once you are educated, you understand that you are responsible and you're holding yourself accountable for your own responsibilities, that's the first step of being a man. So now in the early 70s and the late 60s and stuff like that, I remember people when they put heroin in the streets for the black men to mess their minds up so that they couldn't get far. Well, okay, that was hard. And I'm going to tell you the truth. It was so hard, you had to throw bricks at the penitentiary. But now it's time, times have changed where you don't have to take life for granted. You can take advantage of what's going on here now.
That's true.
Okay? And whether or not people recognize it, they still have a seat at the table. And if you don't have a seat at the table,
take your time, baby.
That's right. Make a seat at the table. I love that, Jamie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I wish I had more time so we could let you speak more. We really appreciate you taking the time today.
Yes.
And we'll send you something later, Jamie, for attending. Thank you a lot.
And thank you for the call.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, everybody. Now it's really time for a break. So we'll take a break, Daddy.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.